Well, we are back, and I'm so excited to have Leigh here with us. A little intro of who Leigh is. Leigh is helping women amplify their voice through aligned visibility, storytelling, publishing strategy, and courageous self-expression. She is the publisher and author of the Ready to Amplify book, the Dream Big to Shift Big magazine, and you're the founder of the media. I didn't memorize it. Tell me what it is. You are the founder of?
Yes, Rise Media and Design Incorporated.
I love it. Leigh, thank you for being here. Welcome to the High Vibes podcast. I'm Binu, your host. My goal with every episode is to leave you feeling better, shining your light a little bit brighter than before you press play. Let's dive in.
Thank you for having me. This is exciting because it's really important. I think we have so many aligned visions and values and messages and getting in the room versus, being like two ships sailing by in the night. So this is so nice to sit down and get grounded and talk about the good things. And at the end of the day, it's always, for me, I always like to think about someone at the other side of the camera or on the other side of that post that's like, who needs to hear this today? Or if there's one person, then, that usually keeps me grounded too. So
I love that. And I love how we've kind of, I was like sharing how we came together.
Yes,
I mean, you were one of our main sponsors at Manifest Her, so we're so grateful. And I love that we have that picture of everybody holding your magazine.
Yeah,
it was
wild.
your beautiful creative idea.
Yes.
But what a vision for you to have that happen in that room of like almost 100 women.
Yes.
But we kept crossing paths, and I know we felt like we liked each other's energy, but we didn't know much about each other.
Yes,
and actually we were talking before we even press play, and this always happens. So many synchronistic things, some great, some not so great, but it's so interesting. That's how I know we're meant to be here right now. So I'm really excited for you to share. You know, what really caught my eye when I first met you was when you say you help women amplify their voice. And I was like, oh, you actually have a book about that?
Yes.
That's a huge one to me, because when my mom passed away, the whole story for the last 30 years that I think I'm being called to share is to help women speak up.
Ooh, yes. Yes. We have a history of our voices being suppressed. And I really believe that sometimes we become immune to that and we don't realize how far we've come or what we've overcome at the same time. And so there's a lot up against us, even when we feel like we've hit our next level. They always say like next level or new level, new devil, but the journey to stepping into your truth is a big part of what we do as entrepreneurs, and being aligned is half the battle in our words and what we do and how we show up. And but the book itself, we talk about family, and when my mom did pass away in 2017, I over the years, we celebrate her lifelong learning that she had in her. And I remember, she lived a life pretty much with no regrets. It was something I think our whole family wanted to live like. But she always wanted to launch like a YouTube cooking show. And so she would, she'd love to cook. She loved to have family over. She loved gathering and celebrating people and making them feel like home. And so I think when we remember people in our lives, that celebrating them and remembering their contributions or what lit you up when they were alive is a lot better way to grieve, I find.
Yes.
Than, and crying is good too, because healing and tears, that's such a great healing process. And, when she was alive, she died young. But in her
how old was she?
She was just 63, 64, like just past her 64th birthday. She did a lot of things in her life and tried a lot of things. And she did end up compiling all these recipes that she gathered from neighbors, that family members, like her mother-in-law, cooked for us or baked for us, things that were our favorite meals, our birthday cake recipes that she would put those like silver coins and wrap them in tin foil. And speaking of which, I tried that with my son. I have a 14-year-old. But back during COVID, we did this birthday party virtually. We hired like a comedian and we were sitting around this computer and I brought up this homemade cake, which I am not a baker. and we sat there and I brought the cake up and all his friends were watching in the Zoom room and he cuts the cake and he bites into it and there's a coin wrapped in and he starts to cry because he like didn't expect this and it hurt his tooth and he's like, never do that again. I was like, but these are, you know, traditions and things that we carry through. Yeah. And so I did bring my
I want to see it.
This was the inspiration. So it's all tied.
So your mom had a recipe book put together?
Yeah. So she went online and so this was probably like 2015.
Wow.
And she made 14 copies and she put in all these recipes. She organized it. There's some pictures in here, you know, just like some of the food, but also I think there's like, you know, a birthday party here. There was jam making.
This is gorgeous.
You know, desserts. She has a little, you know, mom's family recipe, little, you know, she signed the book.
This is like legacy. This is legacy.
And this is the thing that like, you know, you go through someone's stuff after they've passed and can be donated, it can be sold, it can be reused. But this recipe book, I pull it out and I recreate her meals. I have this Caesar salad that we do, or like the cherry loaf I bring at holidays. And like, and everyone that knew her and eats that food, like remembers, it's just like, it's a beautiful thing.
It's like they, you know, I do, you know, the spiritual side is like, they do live on with us spiritually.
Yes.
But to have food pieces, because I was sharing with you earlier, I have a couple recipe books from my mom, but my mother-in-law actually wrote a book like this.
Yes.
It's handwritten. And we are, for years after she passed, well, she passed only about like 4 years ago, but the first year it's like, we forgot about that we had this book and it was in the pile of things. And she has the famous macaroni loaf and the other famous date squares. And so the girls and I have been making them. And it's like a little taste of them in our lives, which actually, look at what we're talking about here. It's actually taking it from that spiritual piece back into the everyday life.
Yes.
This is gorgeous.
Yeah. And this is something where she had to overcome a bit of technology. She got onto a website, you know, 8 years ago. They're still a bit clunky, right? Like it's not as easy as doing that. And I will tell you that having a child of my own and knowing that I've built 35 courses. I've been an entrepreneur since like 1996, pretty much, like on and off over the years, incorporated in 2013. So I have all this stuff up here. Like I have all this wisdom, learned wisdom, experience. I've taught and launched and done all the things. But what I knew was that after 20 years of wanting to write a book, I never had done it. And I realized how important legacy was in the year after my mom passed away. And I ended up writing this book in 5 days.
So for those that are listening, it's the Ready to Amplify book.
Yes.
In 5 days.
5 days.
See, I just want to tell people that I know that are writing a book, me included, you can do anything 5 days.
And I'll tell you my secrets. I'll tell you my secrets because...
Tell me, because I'm trying to work on a 30-day completion.
Oh, I love it. Okay, this is great because, it's when you attach meaning to the book and beyond the completion of it. Like, oh, I just want to write a book. Like, you know, I felt like that, lived like that for 20 years. But then it became about, what do I have to leave behind? What does my son get to see? Like how can this be tangible? Because I don't know how you are experiencing this with your neighbors or your friends, but as entrepreneurs that create things out of nothing sometimes, like, you know, oh, I'm going to create a magazine. Or I designed some jewelry, like with a colleague and like wrote a book. But before the book, these things were not tangible. Like I go on Zooms and teach and educate, but for a lot of people in my life that are not entrepreneurs, it wasn't tangible enough. And then when I started to talk about the book, that was very real for them. It was very tangible. It's something they understood. And it's because it's a vehicle. It's a vehicle to share information. And we weren't always given that privilege, which I didn't really think a lot about.
This is interesting.
Yeah. So I took a trip a couple years ago to Washington, and I went to the Library of Congress, which I like books, and I thought, oh, I was just gonna, I don't know. I'm not a big historian, but
Okay.
I went in there. What I learned was that it was around, I think, 1815 that the Library of Congress burnt down. And they lost a lot of things, like books are made out of paper. The library itself wasn't fireproofed, and so it was pretty inevitable, I guess. And Jefferson, who was the president at the time, said to them, I have a personal collection of 6,000 books. I will sell to you for $1 a piece or none at all. Like, yeah, you can have my collection. I will give it to you, but you must buy all the books, not just one or two. And because he had collected them worldwide, there were topics like science and theater and nature and comedy and, good old-fashioned books.
Gosh, I'm like, get me to the end of this story.
Right?
What happens?
Well, it's so wild because they agreed. So they bought his books. They rebuilt the library. And $1 a book at that time was actually quite expensive.
Right.
And they made a fireproof library. It's quite beautiful. It featured local artisans all over. It's a beautiful, gorgeous. You just gotta see it to believe it. And none of those books were written by women.
Wow.
So that was interesting. And if they were penned as men.
What?
Yes. So I don't think it was until 1954, maybe a little earlier. I'm not that great on history, but between 1815 and now, women started to come out as authors. But before that, it was dangerous. They burn witches at the stake, for expressing themselves, right?
Lee.
Wow,
dangerous. I honestly, you know what? I haven't thought about this stuff in a long time. This is fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the goosebump
Yes,
moments,
we're having
right?
goosebumps in this podcast room here today.
Right, because it's a powerful vehicle. And so also at the Library of Congress was the first book that was ever typesetted with ink and an actual, I guess, type machine.
Okay.
And if you can imagine, it was the Bible, okay? But before that, and I think that was it was within the last 200 years.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I'm not good on the facts, but
That's
maybe
okay.
we can put those in the show notes.
Yes.
So if you can imagine, the Bible is this story that people share, but up until that print where they could replicate books, they couldn't talk about books. They couldn't have book clubs or book studies or Bible studies or share their experience unless it was through through verbal storytelling.
Right.
So, or handwritten notebooks, right? But to start mass producing books was the evolution of community and thought leadership and sharing of wisdom that could reach across the globe.
I love this history. We don't need dates.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
this history.
Yes.
Okay, so is this why you're so passionate about women writing books?
Well, it's a big part of it. It's a big part of expression because I think, growing up, I used to race on the national cycling team, for example. And so 70s and 80s, I raced in the 90s. As a female, I was and learned maybe not to boast, not to brag, not to stand out, not to make others feel less than.
Right.
And I would go and ride my bike for years. I'd ended up qualifying for the World Championships.
Wow.
And I went to San Marino, Italy, and I think it was a separate country at the time. And I placed 14th in the world.
Wow.
Right?
Lee.
Yeah.
I love learning things on a podcast about people I've known for a few years.
Right. But that's one thing. We don't talk a lot about those things. And also sometimes we don't feel ready or not enough. These things come up. And I remember qualifying for the championship team because I got the one spot, which was all expense paid. The girl that was second, she had to fundraise to get her butt to Italy. And I got the one coveted spot. But I went back to school the next day or that weekend after, because it was in Quebec that the trial was on. And I remember not telling anybody. So here I was qualifying for the Canadian national team, but not really telling anybody. It was almost like a double life.
Yes.
And so that was kind of the beginning of realizing in my later years how much we suppress our talent talent and wisdom, and often like for other people.
Yes, I think it is all for all the other people. And I mean, we've grown up very differently. And I've had the same, like I'm nodding when you're saying this. It was the unspoken of like, yeah, don't show off. That was a big thing.
Yes.
It's like just by role modeling what I saw, don't show off. Like, oh, you got that award? Okay, don't tell anybody.
Yes,
Right? It's
yes.
like, just enjoy it. Our family's going to like, and then I did the same thing with my children when they were young. Right?
Yes.
Where now I'm like, we need to celebrate everything of everyone.
Right.
But it always is about other people.
Yes.
That's what we've been conditioned.
It's easier to
Yes.
celebrate others versus
Yes.
celebrating ourselves.
Yes.
You know, and as entrepreneurs, we have to self-promote. We have to
Yes.
be visible.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's different ways of doing that. There's like the our own media, right? So you own a podcast,
Yeah.
you own your website content, your blog, your newsletter.
Yeah.
There's also social media, but we don't totally
don't
own
own
that.
it, yes.
You know, we don't own our followers. You know, then there's earned media. So we're pitching. I pitched you with some story ideas to talk
Yes.
about, or I pitched the media or the local newspaper. Hey, I wrote a book. You know, can we talk about why that's important for everybody and why they should
Yes.
read it? And then there's paid media, paid visibility, right? So in this case, this is a mix. My magazine is a way. I started this as a pilot project last year at the Dream Big to Shift Big conference.
Okay.
And it was in blend with the role I had as the president of Fem City Hamilton and Burlington. I wanted to bring women together to dream big and shift big and not feel alone, you know, because I personally, when I dream big and shift big, I feel pretty crazy.
Yes.
I feel
And
like
we need someone else saying, go girl,
Yeah.
instead of like looking at you like you have horns coming out of your head, right?
Yes, yes. And-
yes, we need other people. Oh, I love the backstory of
Yes.
this.
Yeah. So that came about because I thought women need help seeing themselves in print, designing their ads, helping them with their words. So there's a column, like a women's wisdom circle in here where they can share 150 words to share their wisdom for those going after their next level and to be delivered into the hands, like the women at your event, hand delivered and gifted into the hands of 500 female founders every issue. And
Wow.
it's a wild ride, like, cause it came out, the first pilot came out with the conference as a kind of a pilot and an agenda keepsake, sharing the stories of the speakers,
Okay.
and got it together in 5 weeks.
Wow.
So this is another piece that we'll get back to your book getting
Yes.
written in a
Yes.
month, because the idea that I held was this vision. So the high tea was something I had never done before.
Okay.
And I was commandeering a ballroom. I wanted 100 women to come together like-minded to celebrate the day, to learn, to be inspired, to, at the end of the day, they ended up punching their fists through, or their palms through wood
I
panel
love
boards, like
it.
just to
I've
break
done that.
through
It's
to the
so
other
amazing.
side.
Yes. I love
Oh
it.
my goodness.
Everyone needs to do that.
Yes.
Once. Yeah.
I think we were all surprised. We had like 40-year-old women and
Yes.
80-year-old women like doing
Wow.
it, and it was wild.
So that conference was a high tea?
Yeah, it was a high tea
Nice.
and like a learning educational day. And I wanted a keepsake. And for both of those things, which really felt kind of like impossible or creating something out of nothing, I held this vision. So the vision of a room full of women clapping for each other and
Leigh.
smiling.
I know why we like each other. You got
Tell
me
me
at
about
women
it.
clapping for other women.
Yes,
Wow,
celebrating women.
celebrating.
Like Fem City, globally, they've been around for 16 years. I hopped on board as their past, they're going into their past presidents soon, as of June 1st. But they've been around for 16 years. And that was one of the pieces missing at networking events, was women coming together regularly to have a safe space to celebrate,
Yes.
collaborate, connect,
Yes.
Well,
I resonate with this so much because I think maybe about 2 years ago, I made a decision, like a self-decision, to start hosting events, like intimate events, with the purpose of, because I did something I used to be in network marketing, and I remember there was an exercise, and I've always wanted to do it. And I did one in my home. One of the first events I did was in my home probably about 3 years ago. And my first exercise was go find another woman. And the first thing I want you to do is just compliment her, whether it's her scarf, her earrings, her hair. It can be something her smile, but your first job is, and then whatever you talk about is what you talk about. And the feedback from all the, because I was nervous. I'm like, oh, they're all going to think I'm a little weird, but I am weird. That's just who I am. And they were always like, that was the best exercise ever. And so now I pretty much do that at every event because it's so fun. And we need to do that more. And I realized one day, I go to events, I go to like functions, weddings, and I see a woman's lipstick, earrings, hair. And in my head, I think, oh, I love her hair, but I don't say it. And so I started something within myself that if I thought it, I'm going to say it. If it's loving, I'm going to say it. And I would just say it. And I can't believe what's happened with it. It's grown on its own. So thank you for bringing that up because you had a vision to have a room where women are clapping for other women. Oh,
yeah. It's wild. And even when things were, you hit obstacles or you doubt yourself, I think maybe 12 days before the event, I was only like half sold. And I was just like, it's happening. I am not giving up. I had to put in the food orders. I put in the food order for a full 110 people.
Well, because you're a master manifester, Leigh, of course.
Right? Yeah.
That's the epitome of like manifesting.
Right.
It's like, it's going to sell out. I got to pay the money for all these people. And they showed up.
Yes. Yeah. Because I think that's something, I have to reteach myself a lot is that you hear this act as if, right. And sometimes we get on a trail or you forget yourself or you forget what your power is. And I think that having a very clear image of the outcome and even thinking about that every day or, and having the discipline to not let those negative thoughts enter.
Because they're going to come because we have a human brain.
Right.
Our subconscious wants to keep us safe. So our job is to override it, and keep the vision right in front of us.
Yes. Yes. And, there's a guilty pleasure I had. I was pregnant with Frost, my son. And I remember just being like baby mind. Like all I can think about was baby, 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 baby. And sometimes our mind is like that in business, right? You can either think like positive things or negative things. And then if you start thinking negative, it can go down that trail.
Yes.
And so I was told, and I don't know if I came up with this after I learned how much I was obsessing about baby, that I was going to give myself 15 minutes a day to Google baby stuff. And then that was my time. I had to go back to focus.
I love that.
Right? Because you could just go down the trail. So sometimes allowing yourself that freedom to think the thought, like release it or give yourself some more white space by getting it out of your head and onto, something else. So that was one big part of just navigating all the negative thoughts. It's like, okay, yes, I got bills to pay, and yes, I got to pay those speakers and the room deposits and the catering, as you know.
Yes.
It was quite the learning experience, and I had to just say, you know what, you can think a negative thought, but you're not going to allow yourself to keep thinking that way. Like you have to put a timer on it or start changing
I
it.
love that. Honestly,
I
think I want people just to hear this right now, maybe rewind it and listen to what you just said again, because I actually think this is a really big piece. Block of 15 minutes, let yourself think the thing to release it, create the white space. Like what you just offer is like incredible coaching right now. So I just want women listening to this to really take that in.
Yes.
Right? This is amazing. I love the story behind this.
Only.
Amazing. High vibes always, always.
Yeah. So, I think, going back to the idea of writing a book, my mom passed away, the legacy, I decided, I had the dream. Okay. Then I decided I was going to write the book.
Okay. Another big coaching tip. Yes. I hope people are taking notes. Then she decided.
Yes. You got to decide. And then you have to believe. Right. And then you have to commit. So the commitment and that act as if parts start to align, right? Because you have a dream, you believe, you commit. And I think I forget.
That's okay. I'm following. Yes.
Yeah, we're getting there. And so what I did is I reached out to the vendors that I knew I had to get the book done. But before even that, I reached out to a woman who was inspiring to me. Her name was Ann Day, and she ran Company of Women for many, many years.
This sounds familiar.
Oh
she
my
sounds
goodness.
familiar.
Yeah, you got to look her up. She would launch these chapters of Company of Women, Lunch and Learns. It was around the time of Mompreneurs, Women in Biz, E-Women Network, locally. And so Anne was holding this Journey to Success conference, and she's like, do you want to be a sponsor? I said, yes, I do. And I want to donate 250 books that I wrote for the sponsorship.
Oh, gosh.
The event was in 5 weeks. And I thought, but there's no better way that this woman, she's gathering these 250 women. I need to get the book in the hands of these women. And so then, so that was a big commitment and somewhat of taking action.
Yes. Okay.
Right?
I have to say, you created a deadline for yourself.
Yes.
And then you literally had to live it out.
Yes. And I had to tie other people to it because sometimes, like, I say it takes a village.
Yes.
It really does. Right. Like we can't be the best at everything. And, I'm not going to be a designer and editor and
right.
Yeah. Like it's crazy.
Okay. So 5 weeks.
Yeah.
So then you wrote it in 5 days?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So, I mean, there's, like you said earlier, like you taught that course in your home and that the first step of the course was to do that exercise. So I had all of it in my head, as many of us do. Like we do workshops, we do podcast interviews, we write blogs, like we write magazine articles, like it's all there.
It's all there.
Right. So it was a commitment to organize that information in a space. And so one of the things I did do after I booked the printer, because printers sometimes get backed up. So, I mean, I had to kind of work from my cycling days. You work with the goal backwards, right? With the end in mind. You can't just like run a marathon. You got to hit the milestones.
Yes.
So one of them is, print the book.
Okay.
So I lined that up, got the pricing and sort of estimates and things like that, timelines, turnarounds, rush fees if needed.
Okay.
Right. Because, and then I also spoke to, a designer, and I needed someone to do the cover. And so there were a few things I had to commit to, right? So that it would actually happen. And, so I had to write the book. Writing the book is half the battle. And then putting it out there, like publishing, promoting, producing, that's the other half. And that's what, where we have to unwind that unlearning again, right? Like we may tell ourselves, I know for me, after 20 years of marketing, as I wrote the book, and I'll share how I did that as well. But I was like, am I enough to am I a good enough expert to write a book on amplifying? Who's going to read it?
Yes.
What are they going to say?
I know listeners are listening going, yep, I've had that. Yep. It's like, it's our sneaky subconscious.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So glad you moved through it.
Yeah. So sometimes having a vision of the bigger why. So going back to legacy and also visualizing my son, like holding that book, right? Or like signing the autograph for him with the message.
Chills.
Right?
Oh.
Like that's powerful. And that comes from being an athlete or whatever experiences we have. But for me, the visualization like was a very powerful tool in creating things out of nothing, right? And so, so I thought about my son and him holding it in his hands. And then I lived a very active life. I think my son, 2018, probably like 6.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did it in the early morning and early evening of the 5 days and then kind of worked my day. I also started with a love letter to my reader. So that was another piece, like writing the love letter to envision the person reading the book. Another vision, a visualization of them holding the book.
Okay, you're a major visionary. Like I've heard people call themselves visionaries, but you are a visionary. Wow.
Yeah, there was a lot of visualization in this, right? Because
this is amazing.
Yeah, and the tangible piece is the love letter. Right. So how would they read it? Would they read it from front to back? Would they jump in a chapter at a time? Could they, pick it up, put it down? Is it like, why were they going to read it? What would they get out of it? Like I wanted to tell them, this is for you if. This is not for you if you're.
So did the love letters make it into the book?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's even, I think, before the introduction, and I think.
Do you suggest that for other people that are writing books?
Yeah, I absolutely do. And like whether you publish it or not, like it was something. I was like, I want people to feel this, like that. It's because it is very, very spiritual. And at the time, up until I got divorced, which I guess officially like 2021, I was a very masculine marketer. Okay. I was all
just like everybody else, Leigh. Just like everybody else.
Yeah. Marketing,
I love this
metrics,
story. Okay.
all the things.
Yeah.
And once I went through my chapter ending of the relationship, I met people that would help me grieve, help me heal. And one of those pieces was really tapping into my intuition. I think my intuition also, listening to your soul, allowed me to leave a relationship that wasn't happy anymore, So like trusting yourself again.
Yes.
Right. Because that's another piece. Like we think about the dreaming big and then.
Yeah. It's not all business.
No.
Like a lot of the life experiences that you've gone through have actually made you who you are, but ignited that intuition, ignited that soul, because this was like life-changing thing that needed to happen for you.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So that was the start of understanding intuitively that there's more than just formulas to writing a book, or there's more energetics behind it.
Yes.
And also what I like to call invisible barriers. And I before this pivot point, I would talk about capacity and conviction, right? Because conviction is an energy, right? If you have that conviction, like everyone's got to read my book or come to my event, like you got to be there, like they can feel that.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And then that capacity also started to come up when I did this thing called Launch Mode Alliance. I've been doing it for 10 years and it's community-based, like mentorship and marketing. And women, usually groups of 10, would come and meet virtually every week and get kind of insights on the momentum, right? Like how do I connect the dots? How do I launch the e-commerce piece, or what do I say on my social media? And then they realize they're not alone because we're all wondering the same
Beautiful.
thing. And so I happen to like geek out about it. So I love to help with that. And so in this moment of Launch Mode Alliance, one woman said, and I tease her about it, and she laughs. She's like, Leigh, I want to get 100 clients in the next month. And I asked her, how many hours does it take for you to fulfill the client promise for each of these 100 clients? And she said, it's about 6 to 7 hours. What we calculated was that if she did reach her goal, it would be about 80 to 120 hours of work in 4 weeks to achieve it, which I don't even know if that's physically possible. Okay. Do the math. We're not numbers people today.
Yeah.
Or at least I can be, though, because I think, money, the money and numbers don't lie, right? Like, so, if you want to shift into
that's
fact,
a great question,
right?
though, to ask her, like, okay, let's look at the time frame.
Yeah, the capacity to receive. And so sometimes like we look at content and everything's beautiful and it's perfect and it's synchronized and it's getting visibility, but it's just not like tracking, it's not connecting. And then we look at, well, what's going on in your life? Right?
Yeah.
Like, what's your capacity? Do you even have like a calendar booking link?
Yeah. Well, right? And that is, I love that you asked this question of how are you going to fulfill this, or how many hours? Because I believe energetically, if that doesn't match what is on the front facing advertisement, marketing, Instagram, all the things, then energetically it can't happen.
Yeah.
Like that's the manifestation block right there. So I want people to hear that, because that's something I don't hear a lot of people say or ask themselves is, how do I fulfill this order? How do I fulfill 100? I want 100 clients. Does this work?
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work, the universe is helping you not burn out.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's questions you can ask yourself, right? Like, do I have space? Do I have sometimes it's even the capacity to send the thank you, the welcome message,
Yes.
right? Like, and that's another visualization is like, what happens when someone signs up? Do they get that email message? Do they get a free gift?
Yes.
Do they get some homework or
Yes.
prep work? Like visualizing that can really activate, like with your event, right?
Yes.
Like what happens when someone becomes a sponsor? Well, they get information and a checklist and,
Yes.
and a wonderful sponsorship experience, by the way.
Thank you.
And
we did visualize that. Like having Renee was really helpful because we were visualizing as we talk about things like, oh, I have this idea and it will go like this. I do feel it's harder on our own.
Yes.
Hence why you having a group and me having a group is really important because women especially need to know that they're not alone.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. It takes a village. Yeah.
So where is this, how is this book going to help, say, the listener?
Yeah.
Right? Like now you've talked about how to do it, which is amazing. And I love all those points. And I hope all my authors listening are going to follow this. But now what to do with the book, your book, to get out to the world.
Yeah. So my book versus your book or their book. So my book is a pocket guide. It's a 7 days of amplifying your visibility, your impact, and your community. And in doing that in 5 to 15 minute activities a day for 7 days. So it's about thinking of your online presence as a home where you are now not being like, oh, I have to be on social media. I have to have a website. No, it's like, this is my home. Welcome. This is where the bathroom is. Like, here's the tour. Like, here's the living room. This is where we house our resources. Here's where we can replenish in the kitchen and you can connect here. Here's my phone number. Here's how, like, our invitations, right? What are our invitations to people socially or on our marketing, in our marketing? How do we RSVP to things? Like if you think of it as a metaphor, it's so much easier, and then navigating your truth as well, right? So when you don't have capacity, then you don't have the conviction. But when you don't have the clarity around what you want to talk about, it can be tricky because it's going to declutter your message, or clutter your message. I guess.
I love this, that it's like a pocketbook. So actually just pause there for a sec. When you say, we ask for RSVPs.
Yeah.
Are you meaning like we're inviting people into our programs, click on the CTA? Like, is that what you're talking about?
Well, kind of. So we have like this customer journey we don't talk a lot about, right? Like you can, another kind of.
Note to self, we should talk about this more.
Yes, the journey, because you can do all the marketing in the world, but if your website's not ready to receive, right? Like if you have a messy house, so you invite all these people over, but then you can't serve the hors d'oeuvres because your website's messy. You can't receive the RSVPs, like your address isn't set up, or broken links and things like that. So we want to think about, is our website ready to receive? Are we ready to receive? And the customer journey could look like, hey, here's a little bit about me. We have our evergreen content. We have our, why do I do this? Who's my ideal client? What can you learn from me? And then you have the invitations, which could be as simple as, hey, DM me in the comments the word message, and I'll send you my free list builder or how to write a book in 5 days guide, or my leverage your book launch masterclass.
Nice.
Yeah, or my 47 writing prompts.
Good. We're going to put these in the show notes. This is good learning.
Yeah.
Leigh.
So these are invitations, and we are in a trust recession. Okay. So we don't know what's real anymore. We don't know if that business is like actually real. Am I being scammed?
Now it's even like, is that person's video real?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Is that them?
Yes.
Even?
Yeah.
Do they really have that many followers, or are those bots? And so even the platform developers, the like VP of development at LinkedIn, or the Instagram head of business, they will post and say, we actually want you to be real. We want to know that you're real. We will reward you if you show us that you are a real person through your content strategy. So this is a huge thing I love to talk about, like training the algorithm. I mean, we could go off on a tangent.
No, let's take just like one little tangent. So if we're going on Instagram to show that we are real,
yes,
like literally you're saying, this is the real me. Like how,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
like
that's
literally
that's
practical.
what it used to be.
Okay.
Right. Like it used to be authentic, show people who you are.
Yes.
And then there's been this shift. And so what we're seeing is that if you're using AI, for example, and you're posting out a lot of content, you're not necessarily on the platform. Right. So the more you're on the platform, the more Instagram wants to reward you.
I see.
So if you're kind of what is it called? Post and ghost. Yeah. Or you're not commenting, you're not liking, sharing, engaging. So there's this whole other piece of we write and we post our social media.
So it's like they're like being active.
Yeah, like connecting.
Yes. Like socially active, which I always hear that's what this was started for, is like to be social.
Yes. Yeah. Like, and if you think of it like your house and people come in and then you ignore them.
Yes.
Like that doesn't work, right? Or the robot like brings out the water and there you go.
I love this analogy of the house. This is wonderful.
Yeah. So, but the other pieces too, like with your content, we used to hear be consistent and post on a consistent schedule. What they say now for consistency is post consistent topics so that you're not all over the place, that you aren't also posting the same thing all the time, but you are consistent in your topics.
Like even yours, right? It's like I hear the word amplify and I do think of you, right? Like it's being known for something that you talk about a lot. I think that's great. I think that's great advice for people.
Thank you.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's so important. And so I think, back to your book and back to
how did we get talking about my book? Because you've inspired me. Because I have a burning question.
Yeah.
That I've been thinking about. So you write the book in 5 days.
Yeah.
You publish it in 5 weeks. Well, you actually get it in your hand in 5 weeks so you can deliver it to this event. What about the things that you think about after that you want to include that you think, I should have included? How do you deal with that?
I love that question because I made a lot of mistakes with that book. Okay. I put a runner on the front of that cover. So it was a woman tying her shoelaces at the start finish line.
Literal runner.
A literal runner. And so this did two things. People thought it was a book on training or fitness or health, and they were a bit confused.
Okay.
The people that read it, I'll share a little secret here. I had my assistant put my words into a Word doc and format it for my book. So it was a doc. It was a Word doc. It was not done by a designer the first time.
Okay.
And the difference was that the flow of the book was hard for some people. There weren't proper headings and divisions. And so I don't know if this is going to show on our area here, but now if you flip through the book, you can see there's headings, there's sections, there's a flow, and each chapter, like that's something when you do your book, I like to think of each chapter having a similar format, like a start, a middle, and a beginning. And so deciding on that, like thinking for yourself, am I going to start every chapter with a quote and then a story? And then a testimonial and a success story, and then some reflective questions. Like that could be the order of every chapter, or it could be the order of the chapters in a specific section. And then you have 3 sections, so what's that flow?
So is this the same book redone or?
Yeah. So this book, I took it, I didn't change much, but I did change the cover. Yeah, I took the cover. So this is very clean. But what I did is I used this as a galley copy. So a galley copy is an advanced copy, not for resale, that you can give magazine editors, newspapers, media, and the people that you want to write your foreword or do advanced reviews, because a little secret here, Amazon likes to automate the first 10 pages of your book in the preview. And so your first 10 pages of your book are quite important. Keep your table of contents, your dedication, what it's about, but also your praise. And so when you have a galley copy, you can get people to read it. You can also have a disclaimer that says, not for resale, that things might be changed, not editorial
this
accuracy.
is cool.
So it's a really great way to just lean in and be like, let's get this out here. Let's get some feedback. Let's make it better.
This is so good. Okay, I'm going to ask you one more question now that you're helping me with my book. Yay. Who would have thought this was turning into this? I have another burning question about putting your face on your book.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard different things where people say that women need to put their face on their book, and then other people saying you don't want your face on your book. I'm just curious what you think.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, there's different places you can put your book.
Your face,
and everything is real estate. Yeah, putting your face on the book. So there's real estate. Your front cover is you're going to look at for the rest of your life.
Yes.
The back cover is really important, what you put on there. I like to put a little bit of synopsis of who it's for and also some testimonials or reviews so that other people are kind of like, it's a sales tool, right? Like, how are you selling this book? And so if your face is recognizable, if it's like who people know you, it's your brand, the face might work. Right. And, but if you're, going to be looking at the marketing pieces, there might be other options.
Right.
So I think you have to look at it like a business decision of like, does this fit? And what are the top selling books doing right now? So if you go into the Amazon categories and you look at like what's selling really well, are we seeing a lot of people's faces on the books? Like memoirs, yes. Is it a business book? What type of book is it? What else is selling?
These are great questions. Honestly, I just let's lead them to how you can help them.
Oh,
Leigh.
my goodness,
like we're talking about all this publishing, so let's let the audience know, right? Like I think this has been so good of just dropping little hints and tips of how women, men, anybody can start to create something. You've said this a few times, creating something from nothing.
Oh my God, it's my favorite. Yes.
Well, that should be a tagline somewhere because I've heard you say it like 5 times.
Oh my goodness, thank you.
So you're helping people publish books, magazines, articles,
podcasts, even
podcasts.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell them how to find you and what you're doing for people.
Yeah. So definitely workwithleigh.com is a good place to start. I have a bunch of freebies there. But ultimately I like to help people in the journey. So there's different ways, whether it's do it yourself or group. I do bestseller book launches where, even someone who has a 6-figure book deal with Hay House, she hired me to help work and we got her onto the USA Today list. But it takes strategy and intention. And, so like everybody needs a marketer in their corner, right? To be that loudspeaker.
Or to has the knowledge. Like you have the not just talking to you. It's like you have the knowledge.
Well, to save money too, right? Like don't waste your time on certain things. What do you spend money on with self-publishing? The reason I say like you can create something from nothing is that like this magazine didn't exist like 15, 16 months ago, right? Like, but it came out of here and then I guess you have an idea, you can put it out there.
Yeah.
But, it's an age of opportunity, right? Like if you have that mindset of anything is possible, or when cycling days, it was like, you can do anything you put your mind to.
Yes.
It's so powerful.
Yes.
And I know in times, like in adult times, we lose that dreamlike ability, right? And that's why it's important to surround yourself at events like yours and community, because it does take a village. So I have community experiences and products, and then mentorship and advisory. So sometimes people pop in, it's been 10 years since they launched their book with me, and they're like, I want to revive it. Your book has a lifetime to reach people and help people. I revived mine. I did book signings, and I have a limited edition podcast series just for the book where I interviewed 18 women about their ready to amplify moment. So there's all kinds of ways. My favorite thing to do with the books is leverage your wisdom, like leverage your book launch or leverage your podcast so that you can get into more rooms, open more doors, build your credibility because of that trust recession. So your content we were talking about earlier, we have to not only be likable, but we have to build that trust that we can do the job, and we know what to do. And so that's an important part of building a content toolbox, and our books and our podcasts and our platforms are tools and with the right clarity and strategy. So I geek out about it.
I love it.
A cheerleader for my clients.
I love it. And I actually think the things that we geek out about are the gifts that we have. It's the genius we have.
Yeah. Yes.
Leigh, this has been so great. Oh my gosh. I love all this. If you could leave the listener, I want you to imagine, most of my listeners are female and there are some guys, but a woman ready to write her book, or she's like me and she's been writing, but it's like there's no end to it. What would you want to tell her?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So launch the down thing already. You have to start telling people, you know, I always like to, when I meet with my clients, I'm like, what's the date around, like what dates are important to you? You know, is it your kid's birthday? Is it like November 1st was the second launch of my book, like the official non-galley version, as I found out, was International Authors Day on November 1st. You know, so that was kind of, you know, very like I help authors. I'm becoming an author officially. So that was a date that was important to me. It had energy, right? We talk about our why. Yes. So that's important. So the date, and then you got to tell people, right? So we talked earlier about having the dream, believing in yourself, giving space to acknowledge all the crap that might be in the way, the invisible barriers, like, you know, I always say, do some time traveling and fact checking on yourself and your stories. So like, what have you done? I remember doing this. I had an event called Liberate Your Voice or Liberated, but it was Liberate Your Voice for marketing, right? Because we have to make our marketing bigger than our mess. And so there's things we can do, and untelling those stories we've told ourselves. And we did this exercise in an event. And I said, what have you done in the last 20 years? Like, write everything down on these walls. We had the giant zip it or sticky board pieces of paper. And, you know, this woman, after she wrote it, she's like, you know, I survived breast cancer 5 years ago. Like, I'm 5 years like free from breast cancer. And she goes, and I wrote a book too, you know? And I'm like, what?
It's like, we need to say that louder.
Right? Like nobody, like she forgot that she wrote a book.
Wow.
Right. And that's the biggest thing I see with authors that do write a book is that they write it and it takes so much to get to the finish line. And I love to help them keep pushing it out there, because it's like this, you know, Olympic gold medal kind of journey.
Yes.
Okay. So we think of the book as the finish line. You know, an athlete trains 4 years, they get to the Olympics, they maybe achieve their goals, maybe not, but there's this documented depression after meeting your goal, right? Like the Olympians are like, oh God, now what? You know, or like, I've obsessed about this my whole life and now what, right? I did it, right? So the journey is so important. And so I would just say that, like, live the launch, like, but also think through the finish line. Think of the ways your book can help, or, you know, you can inject it into your speaking or gift it as door prizes or do book signings or, you know, open more doors, right?
I love that.
You got to think of that bigger vision.
Yeah. So that's the message we're going to leave with today is think of the bigger vision.
Yes.
Your book doesn't have an end. It's like, bring it to life. It's just the beginning.
Yeah. And make your message bigger than your mess.
Make your message bigger than your mess. Leigh, thank you so much for being here. This has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate you listening. If this episode resonated with you and you wish to speed up your growth, feel free to check out my programs and services. Just go to my website, binu.ca. And if you know someone else who is seeking more meaning in life and could use some inspiration and high vibes along the way, please pass them on to me. It would mean the world. And it goes a long way if you take a few seconds right now and leave me a 5-star review and share this with your friends. I'll be forever grateful.